Brilliant. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming today and listening to me talk about Programmatic. I'm really excited to be here to chat with all of you. So, as we know, it's probably going to be no surprise that Q4 is right around the corner. So that means we've got Black Friday, we've got Christmas, we've got New Year's sale periods, all about to sneak up on us. And that means we're also going to get hit by a lot of advertising and really soon. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a few of the ways that we can target our audience programmatically, try to cut through some of that noise and reach people in new moments. But before I do any of that, I'm just going to pop up a couple of stats on the screen, and I just want you to have a little think about what these might mean to you. So 4,000 is actually at the lower end of the estimation of the number of ads that we could be exposed to every day. The upper end of that estimation could be as high as 10,000. So that's 10,000 ads that we could see every single day. And that's a huge amount of content that's not only got to grab our attention, but also engage us, evoke emotion, and then stay with us. So I'm going to pop another number up on the screen now and have a think about how this relates to the first one. So 100 is the number of ads that we register per day. So that's not the number of ads that we can recall. That number is going to be much, much smaller. But this is the number of times that we can just say that an ad was there. So even if we use that more conservative estimate for the number of ads that we see every day, it means that we're actually only registering about 2% of them. So that means that it's more important than ever that we're cutting through that noise and making an impression on our audiences. So where are we seeing all of this advertising? In this day and age, a lot of it's going to be online, and marketers are spending over half of their advertising budget on digital advertising. So with social media and internet browsing taking up huge amounts of our days, our devices have become hotbeds for advertisers to try to make a connection with us. So what does all of this online advertising look like? If at the top of the presentation, when I spoke about programmatic advertising, you pictured something that looks a bit like this, you would be exactly right. So everyone's going to be familiar with banner ads. So you go online, you're looking at a pair of shoes, and then that pair of shoes seems to sort of follow you all around the internet until you relent and you buy them. Or maybe you go onto YouTube to watch your favorite content creator, and you see an advert for some holiday insurance that perfectly aligns with the trip that you're taking later that month. So these are all really great examples of programmatic advertising, and undoubtedly are present within are valuable for the customer journey and can deliver real value for our clients. But today I want to talk to you about some of the lesser known examples of programmatic advertising. So new moments to reach, engage and captivate your audience that might not strike you when you first think about programmatic. So we know people's lives are much more than their devices, and their days present many more opportunities to connect with them than just when they're looking at their phones or scrolling on their laptops. So I'm going to take you through a journey, and we're going to run through sort of what a typical day could look like. This could look like your day. And we're going to look at some opportunities that we have to connect with our audience programmatically. So let's go back a couple of hours, start right at the beginning. And for most of us, me included, this is going to start with a pretty rude awakening and maybe a few too many taps of that snooze button. You might be part of the 27% of people who, before they even get out of bed, they roll over, pick up their phone, and start playing on their favorite mobile game. So mobile in-game advertising really does mean business. It's projected to grow by 10% before 2027. And that's helped by the fact that over half of all Europeans are considered to be gamers. So when I'm saying gamers, I'm not just talking about people who have all the tech, loads of different games consoles, but actually this can include people who just play Candy Crush while they're waiting for the bus, or like to do a crossword online. So this can really help us to understand the true scale of what this gaming audience can look like. So specifically, I'm going to be talking about intrinsic in-game ads. So this is a native advertising format that aims to add to rather than take away from the experience that a player has when they're playing a game. So you can see in this example here for Talk that the advertising sort of seamlessly blends into that perimeter ad strip, as you would see sort of in a normal football game. And it's this unexpected visibility that helps to drive a really positive association between the brand and the player of the game, and then leads to sort of increases in things like ad recall. So while these look really effective, they're actually really easy to set up. So BidStat, when they worked with TalkTalk to create this ad experience, all they actually need is TalkTalk's logo, and all brands are going to have access to their own logos. So it's a great opportunity for clients who maybe don't have a lot of creative capabilities, or perhaps they just don't have the budget and time to constantly make new custom creatives. Right, so you've played your game, you're out of the house, and you're on your commute to work. You might be putting in your favourite podcast or playlist to listen on your journey. So audio ads are a really unique opportunity for advertisers because people engage with them specifically when they're not looking at a screen, and often when they're engaging in another activity. So people who listen to audio ads do find them particularly engaging, with 60% of people say that they listened to an entire audio ad, compared to about 19% who say that they have the same engagement with a linear TV ad. And in particular, I want to talk to you about 3D audio. So 3D audio aims to mimic the real-life way that we process audio. So we don't usually process audio as kind of being front and central and unmoving. We process sound as being moving kind of around our field of hearing and being sort of multi-layered. And this is what 3D audio ads aim to replicate. So if you kind of picture enjoying your favorite drink, for example, you're going to imagine the sound of ice clinking in a glass, the crack of a can being opened, and maybe sort of the sound of like the fizz as you pour the drink in. And that really helps you to kind of emote and sort of get in the mood that you're about to be in when you enjoy your favorite drink. And this is exactly the principle that Spotify used when they partnered with Fuse Tea, and they created an ASMR-style ad that was delivered to people who were listening to relaxation, chill, and yoga-style playlists. And this was to invoke this idea of me time. And they found that this campaign was wildly successful, with huge uplift in ad recall and brand awareness, which hugely surpassed their standard audio ads. And this might sound like it's going to be really costly and really difficult to put together, but luckily a lot of publishers and a lot of partners do have in-house creative solutions that can really help clients to put these together. So this means that it's a solution not only for sort of the biggest clients, but also some of your sort of more small and medium-sized clients can also participate. And if you're combining this 3D audio with a nicely curated playlist or sort of podcast list, then you can really start to make that full-rounded experience and make that connection with your audience. So, if you're anything like me, you'll have made a great lunch the night before and you'd have left it on the kitchen counter. So you're going to head off at lunchtime, you might be walking to the shop, and you might pass a bus stop. And on the side of that bus stop, you might see a digital out-of-home ad. So digital out-of-home, or programmatic digital out-of-home, essentially does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a digitized and programmatically bought version of a standard offline out-of-home ad. And it's that digital element that allows it to be more targeted, more measurable, and more flexible than its offline counterparts. So digital out-of-home has been kind of a hot topic in the marketing world for a few years now, but its rise was somewhat curtailed by the pandemic, but it does look to be back on track. And in between 2021 and 2022, growth was at about 23% in spend year on year. So it's been shown to drive true value not only as a branding tactic, but also at driving action. So around 62% of people have said that they've engaged with their mobile phone after seeing a digital out-of-home ad to look up more information on about the brand. So it's a really nice way of taking your kind of offline audience and bringing them online. And I popped a couple of case studies up on the screen here to sort of show the success that digital out-of-home campaigns have had. So we've got a nice example from Jägermeister, who in the US used a digital out-of-home campaign to target their target audience, which was over 21s, to promote their new cold brew coffee. And they managed to generate a 73% increase in brand awareness off the back of this digital out-of-home campaign. And then a little bit closer to home, we have Virgin Active, who did a time and geo-targeted campaign looking to reach people who are leaving the office for the day and drive them into their local gym with the idea of them signing up. And they saw 3 times more footfall into those gyms for the campaign period while they had the digital out-of-home boards live compared to the previous period. And it's not just location and time targeting that you can overlay on digital out-of-home. You can actually integrate APIs and data feeds into your digital out-of-home creative feed and serve reactive messaging. So a really nice example of this could be, let's say we've got a travel client. What they can do is use that weather API data to automatically update the messaging within their creative. And let's say it's raining and rubbish weather in London. That board could dynamically update to say, miserable weather in London today, why not book a flight to sunny Spain, book now with whoever your airline is. That's a really nice way of connecting with your audience in that shared moment. So, you're back from your trip to the shops, you're sitting down at your computer, maybe you're reading the news, you're looking up the sports fixtures for the weekend, or perhaps you're looking for a last-minute recipe to cook that night. Publisher deals and publisher activity is an absolute hive of potential for programmatic advertising. It's got excellent access to data via publisher second party. It's got availability in placements and on content that's not really available anywhere else, so not available via the open exchange. And it's also got access to custom formats, such as homepage takeovers, skins, interscrollers. You can even build gamified elements into your creatives and have sort of CRM capture within the skin as well. So there's loads of opportunity that we can have here to really address a number of different sort of client goals. And it's this combination of really trusted and premium inventory and content placements alongside these sort of high impact, eye-catching creatives that really help to drive uplift in things like positive brand perceptions, as we can see with the Co-op and Gum Gum case study. So a lot of us here will be very familiar with the kind of impending death of the cookie and the sort of talk around a cookieless future, and it's definitely something that we want to be aware of and addressing in planning for our clients' futures. So luckily, publishers have, a lot of publishers have answers to these solutions, and this is via contextual AI. So this provides cookieless targeting opportunities that elevate the precision of sort of traditional contextual targeting. And these are available via a lot of publishers, but a couple of examples are with Gum Gum and SeedTag. Now, publishers are a great opportunity for clients who maybe have like very niche audiences. So perhaps they're looking at wanting to target very premium audiences, or perhaps they don't have their own creative capabilities to make these sort of gamified skins and these interscrollers. Publishers have a huge amount of resource that can be lent on for those types of clients. Right, finally, the working day is over. You're back home, put your feet up, and you turn on your smart TV. Connected TV is signed in, which means it's cookieless. It's also default sound on, and it's the largest screen in the house, often watched by more than one person at one time, which means it's an excellent opportunity for some really high impact branding. It's also getting more popular, with about 2/3 of households in the UK now having one. And people also pay about 20% more attention to programming on their connected TVs than they do to programming on linear. Similarly to digital out of home, it's not just a channel for branding impact anymore, and a lot of clients and brands are seeing seeing success throughout the whole funnel. And a really nice example of this was Quantcast working with the RSPCA. So they had a full funnel campaign that at one end, at the top of the funnel, managed to deliver a 25% increase in ad recall, and down at the other end managed to deliver a 217% increase in donations. So if you are going to run something like connected TV with your clients, there's just a few sort of considerations to have. It's the biggest screen in the house, so you want to be making sure you're making the right sort of impact. So number one, make sure that you're considering your goals. if you're really sure on what you want to get out of the campaign, that should translate into your creative and then to your audience as well. So a creative that is looking to introduce a new audience to the brand for the first time is probably going to look quite different to a creative that is looking to drive people on site to take an action. So just make sure that that's super clear and that that's reflected in any of the media you're putting out. Secondly, we like to say there's about a 6-second, a sort of 6-second rule for grabbing attention. So this is before someone has the chance to, look down and pick up their phone or get up and go and make a cup of tea. So you want to make sure that your hook is really strong right at the beginning of your ad. If you can keep people there at the beginning, they're much more likely to watch to completion and then go on to remember your brand. And finally, make the most of audio. As I mentioned before, connected TV is automatically sound on, so make sure that you're making the most of that. So things like music, sound effects, and voiceovers can all really help to reinforce the brand name and help people to remember it. And finally, just before you go to bed, maybe you're preparing for the next day and you might be listening to the radio on your voice assistant. So voice assistants take many different forms. We've got things like Apple's Siri, but then we've also got ones like this, so Amazon's Alexa and Google's Nest that might sit within your home. And around 40% of adults in the UK say that they regularly interact with their voice assistants. So while voice assistant advertising isn't really widespread just quite yet, they are a hot topic for the future of personalised advertising. And this is because they are seen as a less intrusive ad format than many others. They ask for permission before interacting with them, so they are a preferred option for a lot of people. A really nice example of this was with Barocca Boost, who in 2021 became the first FMCG client to run a voice assistant ad campaign. And what they did was they had a radio ad that played specifically through people's voice assistants. And the content of the ad included a prompt that if the listener chose that they wanted to interact with the ad, they would repeat the prompt back to their voice assistant and be entered into a curated conversation. So they found that 46% of people went on to repeat that prompt and enter into that conversation. And of them, 23% of people then went on to actually make a purchase. So it shows huge success when you make that emotive connection between your brand and your audience. So over the last 13 hours, which we've managed to condense down into about 20 minutes, you can see that your average day presents so many opportunities for advertisers and brands to make meaningful connections with you. So with huge growth in some of these new programmatic environments and tech, such as 3D audio, gaming, connected TV, and digital out of home, just make sure that you're thinking outside the box when you're considering not only how you reach your audience, but in what moment you're reaching them. Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening.